Hey, so I was looking through a bunch of charts and I noticed that the shippers have been really strong again, and there's some really interesting setups here in these shipping stocks. I also noticed some other interesting stocks with some pretty reliable patterns here. Like this BVS is it's a really nice bull flag, and you can see it really played out like once it broke above the flag, that downtrending price level right there. It really went from like 490 to 520, and it looks like it has a good chance of continuing. And I was looking at the chart, and you can see it's already up a lot from when the lows were in the spring. It was like $1 a share, and it's gone from like $3 to $5 in like 3 months. So it's not exactly super low price, and like sometimes stuff can get ahead of themselves and they could sell off. But what I did was I looked at the fundamentals on it, and you can see the balance sheets pretty good, but mostly what I was looking at was their revenue and earnings. But since I'm on the balance sheet here, we can see that um, their working capital's been stable, and cash is fairly stable. The past 4 quarters, it's down a little bit, but it doesn't look like a crazy burn rate or anything. And but the interesting thing about this one was their recent earnings and their guidance. So they raised their guidance, and I'm looking at so many. I think this is the one that beat by 100%. But just gonna double check. Yeah, let's see. Let's look at this one. So sales were down, but it looks like they've got some good stuff brewing here because they raised their guidance. So for the 12 months, sales is going to be about 500 million, and net loss. So the gross margin's not bad. I mean, there's a lot to work with there. The gross margin is 65%. It looks like the gross margin's been stable too. So that would peg it at, well, it seems actually, if that revenue is correct, that seems like the price to sales is really cheap there. Trying to see, because it looked like a good. Well, let's look at what I was looking at was this earnings trend. They looks like they're looking for profitability in the next quarter, and then they might even, well, it's like a down a little bit and for the first quarter of 2024. But next year was the interesting thing where the guidance has been just consistently raised. Like the next year's earnings were forecasted 37 cents, so that's about a 13 PE multiple, 13 forward multiple, which is, you know, fairly cheap, especially with if they can grow earnings, if they can grow sales. So they have grown some sales, like they grew the sales a lot in 2021, and it's the company's like a medical devices, so that's a good industry, and that the industry has good growth going forward too. So they've got some different pain therapies, and looks like a lot of different stuff here. But I mean, that's a good industry, so that's a good thing. So I think, with a 13 multiple, there's room for expansion there. Maybe it gets like a 20 multiple at least, but a lot of times good things happen when they can get if companies can get consistently profitable, which looks like they may be doing if they're forecasting that much earnings for next year. So this one's interesting. Like the technicals and fundamentals are looking pretty good on this one, BVS, and it's just a really nice bull flag. You don't see a lot there like that anymore. So let's get to the ones that I was really looking at today, which was the shippers. So I noticed that the Baltic Dry Index has just continued to go up, even since summer. So the Baltic Dry Index just tracks the price of dry bulk shipping freight, and it can be a leading indicator. In the past, it has been, but it hasn't been super reliable as a leading indicator lately. But you can see it broke that downtrend back in. Well, let's just blow this up so we can see it a little better here. So we broke a downtrend there. So it was downtrending and then broke out, and then it just keeps doing these little flags, But it did make a new high, about a month ago, and it tends to have these pullbacks, So that's kind of one of the things. It seems to have been propelling these shipping stocks, especially the dry bulk shippers. And one of my favorite ones that I did a write up on my Substack, just on IMPP, Imperial Petroleum. They do dry bulk shipping too, and this one's been strong. It's a really deep value stock. It's like you can see the current assets were like 100 million, and the stock's still at like 50 million. So it's still at about a 50% discount to its net current asset value. So that's working capital minus liabilities. So it's like a liquidation value. So it's like incredibly cheap, and you don't really see that too often in a good company. And this company, while it may be kind of cyclical, is they're doing okay. So I don't see why the multiple isn't any higher, like on this one. And they actually have there's some warrants, but I don't think this one has a dividend. But it's been up since a little bit since my article, and it had a pullback, and then it's got a nice steady uptrend going from summer. And this could be a bull flag here. It could just had a big pop, probably with the other shippers, and it's just it's a nice stock. Like it's really cheap. But the other one I found was the ZIM, and this one was really beaten down and kind of left for dead. It looks like the sentiment was really weak on it. Like, I mean, for a while now. It's just the stock has been down since 2022. And but it's trying to bottom here. Like it broke this clear downtrend there, and it started to make a little bit of a bounce there, and it had got a nice bull flag there, and it may be just a rotation, but something else might be going on. Like sometimes when the sentiment gets so bad on these, any positive news or any kind of reversal in the fundamentals can really bring it higher, because they've been so beaten down. So I think that's the case here, maybe with this one, and it's container shipping company. They've got 150 vessels, like 139 container vessels. So I was trying to see what if there was actually some positive news that that's moved it, but it may just be that the it's kind of sympathy with the other shippers. And their revenue's been pretty good. It was good in 2022. So we'll see what this one. It looks like it's trying to form a bottom there, and it had one of the biggest moves percentage wise. It was up about 18%. It was up 18% on Friday. And some of the other ones, like my favorites, like the GOGL, are up too. Like that one, it had a trading range that broke out of there. You can see these the long red lines, the trading range it was in, and it broke out, pulled back, and it really looks like this could be another flag where it's just going to keep going because it does have that. It's holding levels above that trading range. So, and a lot of these, these dry bulk shippers have been pretty beat down past couple of years. So it might be something to do with the risk going on too in the market with equities. Because obviously if there's more transportation, that's bullish for the economy, and those go hand in hand. And the SBLK has some really nice technicals too, and this is one of the other ones I like the fundamentals on. At least this one and the GOGL, they've done well in the past with with the management and fundamentals. So I that just makes them, to me, more likely to do well in the future. So SBLK, it held a level there. It retested, held, ends up. So it really looks like it wants to take out the 22 and break out again. So that's a good one too. And those are the only. Well, the ship has it's got an interesting consolidation here. It's got a bit of a triangle going on here. So and this one tends to move with shippers really well too. Like, if shippers are up, this one's probably going to be up. So that's what I'm watching too. But to me, the more interesting ones was the Zim. It's because it's down so much, and the SBLK and GOGL, and some of the other ones have been just kind of sideways, really, in trading ranges. So those are some of the more interesting ones that I saw when I was going through some scans. So I was looking through my scans and I found a few interesting stocks. I was kind of expecting one of my favorite ones in the car parts is the PRTS. This PRTS has been like really underperforming in the stock, and this company did a turnaround back in 2020, 2021. It was a really long-term, underperforming company, and the management team institute, they put in a turnaround like in the company back in 2020. Excuse me, and they bought the car parts domain. Like they never used to have that until a couple years ago. But the stock's has been terrible, and the fact that management's done well in the past, turning things around, it seems likely that could happen in the future. So, it's been pretty mediocre. The fundamentals have been pretty mediocre on it, but it's in this like another bear flag looking kind of thing here. So I'm just gonna wait. I just want to see some some earnings surprise and some positive earnings come through. Because usually what happens is the earnings will get, guided down and down. Like earnings will go down, consistently, and then suddenly there'll be a pop, where the earnings forecast was wrong and the earnings came in better than expected. So that's usually like a catalyst for the stock to bottom. It happens in all kinds of companies too, every industry. It's just the nature of kind of how sentiment works with Wall Street. So yeah, this one, so the PRTS, the earnings has been down, down, down. So I have to wait. You just want to wait to see, really like a big earnings beat, like 10, 20% or more. And then you can see like a bottom in the stock. There's another one I wanted to look at too. There's just I was finding a lot of interesting things here, and I think I took that one off the watch list. But anyway, the shippers look really strong, especially the ones I highlighted, and I found some other ones too. Yeah, the pay was one that the pay I've had on radar for a long time, and it's just been kind of slow to go up, but it's doing well too, and that's a good industry, and it's one of my more favorite companies fundamental wise. So that stock's been doing really well again, and it's just consistently uptrending now. Like it's got an uptrend there. So I wouldn't be surprised if this one just keeps going too. Some of these short squeezes fell apart, like the EOSC. That one I knew is kind of sketchy. Like when if you're buying into short squeezes, it's got to be a trade. So I placed the position size accordingly, so it's not really a big like loss, but looks like I'll definitely be losing on that one. And the Siri is a little sketchy here because it just hit it's hit resistance, and so far it's holding. Like it hit that uptrend resistance level there, and it found it. It's like it didn't break out, so that one could very well be coming back down to trend support, and there's actually a lot of volume too. I just noticed the volume was pretty high, so it's not looking good in the short term there. But these are mostly for trades. These short squeeze ones that I put on, like the open one actually worked out really well. Like I made 350% on that one. The OP open door, and I got kind of perfect timing there on this. I sold it like when it was like 470. So those calls. So that's about all I wanted to look at today with these shipping stocks, because I did notice that some of the transports are looking really good too. The rails and shipping companies, or the freight, I should say, the 52 footer, those are looking like JBHT is, that's not the wrong one. It was CSX was really good too. Yeah, this is one of the biggest transport companies, and it actually started to break out and then failed. But the CSX is really strong too. Like that looks like a bull flag there. That's a bull flag, and then it just broke off of that. But they still have a lot of resistance to deal with. Like it's got this resistance here to, so it's not for sure, gonna break out over that, but they look interesting based on how strong the stocks have been, overall equities. And if it's risk on, transports are gonna gonna do well too. So I'll just call it a wrap there, and if I find any more interesting setups, I'll do a video or put them on my Twitter account. And my Twitter account's just like my domain stock. It's Stock Pursuit. So I'm not sure how, I may have a link to that on my YouTube, but if I don't, this is my Twitter handle right here. It's stock / pursuit, and so it's at Stock Pursuit with the little / there. That's my Twitter. So I'll call it a wrap there, and I'll catch you next time.